Hello everyone and welcome to another edition of the ROKER Report Player Ratings Podcast. It's Gav back again, but this time we have a win to talk about. Hey! You can hear the enthusiasm on the end of the line. I'm joined by Rich and Ant, who are absolutely buzzing Sunderland won, clearly. How are you doing,
Hooray! Yeah. It's great. I mean,
Nice.
if you
Nice
forget about the
game.
first 45 minutes.
Yeah,
fantastic.
well, it's the first game we've actually won in what? I can't remember the last time Sunderland won a proper game of football.
6 months, isn't it? 7 months or something or other like that.
Yeah. So to be fair, half time was not expecting that at all. Probably one of the worst halves of football I've seen in a long time. But God, second half came out flying, got a nice early goal, and I mean, Oxford were there for the taking, really, weren't they? And
Yeah, they were poor. I thought the first half, like you say, was two bang average League One teams playing against each other, but then second half, I think it helped getting the goal that early on. Nice little finish from Luke O'Nien. Not a great build up to it, like, but we'll take it. And then we looked comfortable, didn't we? We probably should have been out of sight by the time we scored the second one. You know, missed a couple of good chances. So all in all, 30 professional display, clean sheet away from home. You kind of beat it, can you? We should be more excited than what we are.
yeah, what about you, Rich? I mean, I was sat there, like I say, at half time, ready to throw in the towel, but I'm glad the players didn't.
Well, it was absolutely abysmal that first half. Like it was, like you said, one of the worst halves of football I think I might have ever seen. And then you add into that the fact that you had a shaky camera, one angle zooming in and out, no commentary. God, it wasn't very engaging at all, was it? But yeah, I mean, second half we came out and did the job. Like Anne said, I was very surprised at how poor Oxford were, given the games they gave us last season, the fact they got in the playoffs, and the game they gave Newcastle last season as well. I was talking to my son about it. I was like, "This, can you believe this is the same side that played like that? They had no intensity, no nothing." So I'm glad we put them to the sword in the end. Like, but God, that first 45 was turgid.
Yeah, I think you've got to take into consideration the amount of players that were missing too. I think I don't know what the end tally was, but they were suffering with injuries this week. But still, you can only beat the opposition that's in front of you, and I think really that was about a fair result in the end. I know Oxford will probably feel aggrieved not to have put the couple of chances away that they had in the first half, but let's be fair, they weren't great, were they? And Sunderland were the only team to really look threatening in front of goal. Set pieces, though, I want to touch on that. I mean, it does feel as though we've kind of gone towards a model whereby set pieces are everything. Win free kicks around the box, make the most of your corners. But in the first half, I felt we lent on that too much, and we just weren't good enough, really. And I don't want to be too depressing about the performance, because by the end of it, we got the win. But I mean, yeah, let's go into a little bit more depth on that first half. And as you were sat there at half time and analysing the performance, what did you feel really that Sunderland need to improve on most going into the second half?
I thought just needed a bit more pace. We were just far too slow, which I thought having Danny Graham and Grant Levitt playing 235-year-olds, we weren't expected to be that quick, but we just seemed off the pace. Every time we got the ball, they were so quick onto us, and we didn't create much apart by trying to win the odd set piece, which I thought today, I will say, I thought our set pieces were poor. I thought our corner taking, and we always seemed to either go too deep or too always hitting the first man. We never seemed to kind of have threatening free kicks anymore, where I always thought that used to be our kind of go-to kind of thing. But yeah, it was just, I mean, it was hard not to drop off, wasn't it, in the first half, because it just was a bad game between two dull teams. But we got there in the end, got there in the second half.
I mean, the defending, I would as a whole, not just in the first half, Rich. I mean, Bailey Wright, he wasn't great last week, but I mean, this week, outstanding, wasn't he?
Yeah, he was. I mean, the few things he was really asked to do, he did fantastically well. There was that, fantastic block that he made. They broke away on about 62 minutes, and he just completely neutralised that as well. And as well as that, he hit the bar on 5 minutes. He's had a good game there, definitely. But when he was asked to do it, he really did. He put his foot in. He stood strong and broke up that one attack. The one time they broke away, really. The one time that I was worried that they were going to get a good chance.
Parky got a bit of stick before the game and about the team selection. I mean, we all looked at that team, didn't we, and kind of shit ourselves. But I mean, come the second half when he made changes, they did count. To be fair, you've got to be fair to Phil Parkinson. Although we looked terrible first half, he did change it up eventually, and it was I would say particularly the changes of Scowen and Gooch gave us just a little bit more impetus in the final third, didn't it?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, you got to look at Gooch. I mean, Gooch's score was absolutely fantastic. You know, that's what you want Lyndon Gooch to do, isn't it? You want him just to be direct. You know, run. He's got pace to get around a defender. He can score a goal. Lovely taking goal. And I mean, I'm a big fan of Josh Scowen. I don't see how he wasn't starting the game. You know, I would have had him over Ledbetter. Although I thought Ledbetter was very good today, I will say that. But Scowen for me has got to be starting the next game. We do look more like more of an attacking threat when he's on the pitch.
Yeah, and I would like to give a little bit of credit to Luke O'Nien as well, because even as a right back, he gets himself into those positions 5-6 times a season to make, and he's a good finisher. I mean, to be fair, the goal, Howie, let's talk a little bit about that first goal. I seen somebody on Twitter refer to it as the most Sunderland goal he'd ever seen. Well, I would say it was the complete opposite. When do we ever get luck like that?
Yeah. When does
the case of bouncing around? It ricocheted off 3 players before it fell to him.
Exactly.
And then the keeper fluffed it.
When does the ball run our way? I mean, to be fair, like the build-up was pretty good. I thought Hume did really well down the left, and I think it was O'Brien in the middle who he picked out, and he held the ball up well. But yeah, when the shot came in, I think was it from Max Power, skewed across, and he reacted, and that's all you can do. He was in the right position. He got himself there. He reacted, and he stuck it in the corner. So I mean, no complaints about it, and it completely transformed him. To be honest.
Did you see when he celebrated as well? When O'Nien celebrated and Power ran over to him, and O'Nien turned around and went, "Good ball, mate."
No, I missed that.
The second goal was another good goal, I guess. I know we touched on it before, Lyndon Gooch giving us that little bit of impetus when he came on, but I mean that quality was sorely lacking in the first half, I felt, and you saw. I think O'Brien missed 2 pretty simple chances where they rolled to him across the box. Got into good positions, but wasn't able to put them away. And I just felt like we were missing that quality in the final third. And it was good to see Gooch come on and give it, because he's been dropped out the team. I mean, has he started yet this season? I'm trying to think. No, I don't think he started the whole game. I might be wrong. But he comes on. He hasn't really had his chance this season, and does what the other forwards can't do, which is run at people and scare them a little bit, and great finish. I mean, he placed it in the bottom corner like a player from a higher level, I would say. It was a really good goal. Does he break into the team, do we think, next week? I know it's a long way away, 7 days away, but do you think that gets him a start next week or not?
For me, yeah, I think because he's got that in his locker, and to be fair though, from coming out, he did the same last week though when he came on against Bristol Rovers. He came on, and against tired legs, he probably looks a better player, but he's got that little bit about him what O'Brien hasn't. As much as I think O'Brien is a canny player and holds the ball up well, I don't think he's going to get you 10, 11 goals, whereas Gooch, he possibly could break into that double figures, the way he goes. How many did he get last season, Gav? Did he get 7 or 8 last year or something like that?
Yeah, do you not think the game maybe suited him, the time he came on, tired legs and defence? Oxford have been stretched this week, haven't they? It's not like they've came into this game fully prepared with a strong squad. Sometimes the timing of the substitutes would make all the difference, and I'm wondering maybe in this case, had Gooch started the game, would he have had such an impact? I'm probably going to say no. So it's an interesting one for Parkinson next week, Rich, isn't it?
Yeah, well, I mean, I thought is not just the finish, but the way he took the ball, the way he was composed and dropped his shoulder and kind of almost, he completely did the defence with just one movement, was showing a bit of class and a bit of composure. He's played at a higher level than this, but at the minute, I'm not sure about him next week. The using him as an impact sub, I think, is probably the best way to get the best out of him at the minute. Obviously, with the shape he's playing, I'm not sure whether he's going to drop Maguire for Gooch, because he seems to be playing the 2 bigger lads up front. as his, as part of his system. So I don't know whether there is a place in there for Gooch, but what he did coming on, on 77 minutes, it was immediate impact, really. And if we've got him, on the bench waiting to come on to do that to teams as they tire, it's going to be a weapon for us this season, like.
Yeah, shout out to the lads who were in the car park, by the way, watching the game.
Absolutely.
I mean, that was great, wasn't it?
Aye.
I don't know if people listening probably saw it, but there was a big white van with a stack of ladders on the top. I mean, health and safety would have had a field day, like, but they were stood on the ladders on top of the van, peering over the stand, watching the game, singing, cheering. Some people just won't be defeated, will they? I mean, yeah. So I think it was a bunch of lads from Gateshead who were standing on top of the car. Great crack from them.
I loved hearing them. It was just nice to hear,
yes.
4 or 5 blokes singing some songs towards the end. It was just lovely. There was that familiarity that we haven't had, with no atmosphere at all. I was almost hoping that the substitutes would start joining in.
As long as they weren't mixing with other households, then they're all right, you know what I mean?
Yeah, I'm sure they're all in the same household. They are
careful.
the support bubble.
Yeah. Gateshead's one big place, isn't it? They're all related. Right, we'll move on to the player ratings, I guess. We'll start with Lee Burge. I think I'll take this one, the goalkeeper. I think at the start of the game, I wasn't feeling too confident about when the ball was coming into him. There was one moment, wasn't there, when he sort of struggled to come to the ball, and Oxford probably should have scored, actually. But other than that, I don't think he had too much to do. He's much of a muchness, Burge, for me. I mean, his kicking's not great. But to be fair, he didn't have a lot to do, so I would probably give him a 5 or a 6. I'm going to say a 6 today. Don't know if anybody would disagree with me on that one, but I think, I'm glad that Oxford weren't at the races today, because he needed a clean sheet, didn't he?
The clean sheet will do a world of confidence. I agree. I think probably a 6 for him, because he's not done much wrong, bar that first cross in the first half, where he probably should score, but we got away with it, didn't we?
I've gone for 6 as well. And I think Jimmy has as well in his ratings. So
yeah, that's right. Yeah, Jimmy did on the site. Next up, Jordan Willis. Rich, I'll let you take this one. He had a better game than last week, I would say.
Well, yeah. I mean, I wrote down a 6, and then he put in that block for the second goal where he actually, he was really strong and intercepted and played the ball through to Gooch. So I think I bumped him up to a 7. He made a couple of good blocks as well. He made a good block on, I think, around like 28, 29 minutes. And then again in the middle of the second half. So he put his body on the line, so I'm going to give him a 7.
Yeah, I can't disagree with that. And next up, Bailey Wright. As I said earlier, he had a great game, I felt.
Yeah, it was a colossus, wasn't he, at the back? He just never lost a header, made some crucial interventions as well. And what I love about Bailey Wright, his passing's fantastic for a defender. He's just Rolls Royce in League One. He was really poor last week and so uncharacteristic. He was losing a lot of one-to-one battles with the Bristol Rovers striker, but today he just didn't put a foot wrong. I've got a 9 down. I'm going high for him. I just don't think he put a foot wrong.
Well, fair enough. I can't argue. I mean, Jimmy gave him an 8 on the site. I think he did play well. We'll get on to the man, the matches and stuff, but he's up there. Next up, the most contentious of the defenders every week, Tom Flanagan. Jimmy gave him a 6. This is mine, isn't it? And I'm not sure, if I'm honest. I don't think he did anything but too wrong. There was one moment in the second half, a little bit later on in the game, where I think a long ball came out either from the goalkeeper or the defence, and Flanagan, he flew out of the defence to attack the ball, missed it, and Oxford went in behind, and I think the shot went across the goal.
Yeah.
And although he wasn't totally to blame for it, I do wonder, when you're coming that far out to win a header, leaving a gap in behind, and then they nearly score from it. You're quite lucky, really, aren't you? But 6, I would say. I mean, it's going to be difficult to mark anyone in the defence lower than a 6 when we kept a clean sheet.
Definitely.
I don't know if anyone else would disagree. Yeah.
I've gone for a 6, and definitely him being caught out of position in that move, I think, in 78 minutes. Yeah, he was... Yeah. That's what knocked him down from the 7.
Next up is Luke O'Nien. Scored. So what do we reckon there? I think it might be Rich next.
Well... I mean, my first half comment on my notes was meh for him, because he just didn't. He was ineffective. and putting the ball in the box. He never found the man. But then he came out like a different player in the second half. Obviously, he got the goal and that got his confidence, and he did some lovely stuff. He, setting up the ball down the right. He became probably one of the most important attacking players in the second half. So I thought he was great. I'll never say a bad word against him. I've given him a 7.
Yeah, I'm probably with you on that one, and I think with Luke O'Nien, you see more from him when the team plays on the front foot and the tempo's up. The tempo in the first half was so bad that both the fullbacks suffered, because obviously the tempo has to start from the centre midfield players who get on the ball, passing it quickly, and if we're not passing the ball quickly, then your fullbacks struggle to get in behind and deliver crosses into the box, and obviously your strikers then benefit from the better movement and putting the Oxford defenders maybe on the back foot. So I think really everything comes from how quickly the central midfield players pass the ball and exchange and switch play and stuff. So I agree with you on that. I think Luke O'Nien definitely benefited once Max Power went off, and Max Power's the next player down on the list. And he came off quite early in the half, actually, our captain, and I think with good reason. He was poor, I thought.
He was poor. I think he might have gone off with an injury though, Gav. I think that's why. I think it was enforced. But I would have...
Right, okay.
Yeah, but I was kind of thinking while I was watching it, he needs to come off anyway, I think his performance was probably marred when he got booked quite early on. Yeah. I thought it was a little bit of a harsh yellow card, because they put a couple of bad tackles in on us, and they got away with it. But he's just... It was the same last week with him as well, wasn't it? He just doesn't he doesn't pass the ball quick enough, does he? He holds it up a little bit, and then he's always looking for this Hollywood pass, which never comes off. I wonder if the captain's armband maybe to blame a little bit, like there's a bit of extra pressure on him. But last week and this week, I'm struggling to give him any more than a 5. I'm looking at Jimmy's ratings; he's a 5, and I can't disagree with that.
The problem I've got with Max Power at the minute is, and I heard him talk about this on the club podcast, but he's spoke to the coaching staff, and he wants to get on the ball more in front of goal and try and score goals and stuff. But I don't know if he's good enough to be that player in this team, really. Today especially, he was losing the ball far too much.
He needs a haircut as well, to be totally honest with you. That might change. Get a nice bald cut, you'll be fine.
Well, you never know. But
I do disagree slightly. I thought in the first half, actually, he did show quite a lot of energy, and he was involved. And the position he's playing in, he's constantly switching, and kind of giving that extra support to the wing back. I think it's a difficult position for him to be effective, but I think he was doing his best to bring other players into the game. But I do think that yellow card took the edge off his performance. It was arguing with the referee, who didn't have the best of games, but they never do they, at this level? But
no.
Yeah, I'd gone for a 6. I've given him 1 mark more. I didn't think he was that bad, but obviously he wasn't on the pitch when we were dominant. So yeah.
Yeah, I think that's it. You could see the team perform better without him. So yeah, you could, but he's not going to get dropped, is he? I mean, if he's fit, he plays. He's the captain. Next up is Grant Ledbetter. I think this is me. I might be wrong. Grant Ledbetter, I'll be honest, I didn't notice him that much, which might be a good thing, actually, because when I saw his name on the team sheet at the start of the game, I was, my heart sank a little bit, mainly because I wanted to see Josh Scowen play from the start. I thought that although Kelly and Brannigan are very good players, they didn't have the best of games today, which really suited Ledbetter, because I felt like before the game, maybe those two would give him the runaround. Thankfully, they didn't. So, yeah, I think I agree with Jimmy on this one. On the side, he gave him a 6. I would probably say the same. I think that's probably about fair for somebody who doesn't have a bad game. Didn't have a bad game, didn't stand out. He was probably just happy to get 90 minutes under his belt, really, because when was the last time Grant Ledbetter played a full game? I don't know if anybody disagrees with me on that one, but yeah, 6 I'm going for.
I thought he was a lot better once we'd scored. Once we went ahead and protecting the lead, I thought he was a lot better then. I thought he made some really nice interceptions, and to be fair to Grant, he kind of passed the ball a little bit more quicker than what he usually does in the second half to get the play more towards Sunderland's side. So I'd have probably gone maybe a 7, but
fair play. I'd like to say I don't think he played badly, so I can't argue with that.
I've gone for a 6. Like Ant says, I thought the most effective thing he was doing was breaking up the play, and he again was covering for the fullbacks as well. So I've gone for a 6.
Right, fair play. Fair play. Next up is Denver Hume. I think this might be Ants. He was probably Sunderland's best player last week. Maybe not that this week, but like I said, it's hard to get your fullbacks into the game when the tempo's so slow in the first half. And Denver, he did what he normally does. He tries to get forward. He definitely shows ambition, but maybe not as effective as he normally is. And
no, maybe not going forward. But I thought his defending was a lot better today. He put a couple of really good sliding tackles in. I think he'd lost the ball.
I was going to mention that.
Yeah, I think at the end of this, was it just before his second goal, he'd lost the ball in an attacking from putting a really poor cross in, then burst back and put a really, really good tackle in on their lad, really crunching tackle, which you don't see much from Denver Hume. So if he's starting to improve that, then that can only be good for him, because he'll develop into a good full back, wing back, whatever it is he wants to be. So yeah, I can't argue much with a 6. Yeah, I can't say any more than that, because he was just average.
Chris Maguire next, Rich. He was on every set piece at least.
He was on every set piece, but to be frank, the two in the first half were appalling, and the one just before half time was very disappointing. It was one of those, I think, where it was even just a little bit too close. Could have done with being a yard or two backwards, further out. I don't know. He seemed to be good in possession. He seemed to be creative, but I didn't see that much of him in the game.
No, a bit like Grant Ledbetter, actually.
So I've gone for a 6 because he didn't put a foot wrong. The one thing I will give him credit for, and this has been, I think, a feature of his play over the last, since Christmas at least, is his pressing and the work rate, because you can't fault it. He's always there. He tracks back. It's not something we'd seen from him maybe in the first year of his time with the club, but certainly in 2020, his work rate you can't fault. So I've given him a 6. He wasn't effective, but he worked hard.
His fitness is a lot better now as well, isn't it? His fitness is he started last 90 and looking like he's not looking as if he's shattered when he's coming off the pitch. So I think that's possibly from what Parkinson's come in and done with the fitness wise, he's benefited the most.
Next up, Aidan O'Brien. I'm going to say he had a poor game, if I'm honest. I think he had two. Strikers are judged on goals, obviously, and I just wish Will Grigg had been in the positions he got himself into with the ball at his feet today, because twice it was right into his feet in a great position, and he just couldn't put the ball on target. And I'm not saying I'm writing the lad off or anything, but I just wonder, is he doing enough at the minute to be starting every week? I haven't been too impressed in his first few games. I think he did okay against Villa under 23s. But last week and this week, all right. Last week, this week, not great. I think if I'm being fair, he was probably for missing those 2 chances. I'm going to go as low as a 4. If I'm honest, I think you're a striker. You've got to at least get a shot on target. I don't know if you I saw. I'm looking at your faces now. Have I been
it's a bit harsh, man. I thought he held the ball up really nicely. He's got a bit about him. His interplay on occasions in the first half was some of the brightest stuff, I thought, from us. Him and 09. Him and Maguire interacting in the first half was probably the brightest bit of play. I thought he was strong for the goal, like I've said. So I've given him a 6 just because of his involvement in the goal, because I think he stood the ball up well. All right, it was fortunate how it broke, but but those missed chances. I like him. I think he's got a bit of class about him. So I've given him a 6, which is.
I think you can tell his goal scoring record isn't great, and that's why. You know what I mean? By today, he's a couple of the chances, like I've said there, if Griggs on the end of them, he probably scores, and that's probably why he hasn't scored that many goals in his career. O'Brien, not Will Grigg, obviously.
Danny Graham, then, to round off the starters. Who's next? We'll go with you.
Rich just took his headphones off, so I'll go for Danny Graham, should I? I must admit, I didn't notice him that much, and I don't know if it's because he's still trying to get match fit or anything like that. He did nice linked up well with O'Brien in the first few minutes, but then I think the game passed him by a little bit. Maybe he was looking for fouls one too many times as well. He was going down a little bit too easy for a big man. probably a 5. I would say not great, but not bad, but not great. Maybe a 5. Bang average.
Yeah, I don't think I disagree with that. I think he was one of the casualties of that first half performance, whereby we didn't create anything. He, when he did get the ball, it was usually lumped up to him. And I think when I'm talking about the team working in tandem and the full-backs improving as a result of the intensity that the central midfielders provide, Graham, you can include in that, because as a big man with his back to goal, you're waiting for runners off you, and if your players aren't running off you, then it's a bit like last week, really. We played long ball football up to Will Grigg, who struggled. Then this week we played long balls up to Danny Graham in the first half, but he had nobody running off him. Nobody within. Players have got to get within 5-10 yards of him, and then the fullbacks have to start overlapping, and then things start to work. That's how you play with a target man. But today wasn't great, but I wouldn't lay much blame at his door, really. So yeah, I'd probably agree with you, 5, and it's not really his fault. I think Jimmy touched on that, actually. He said the same, probably not his fault for the way that his performance went. Have you got anything to add in on that, Rich?
On Danny Graham, I thought he just wasn't involved. I thought he worked hard, but it wasn't a surprise that he came off. He just wasn't. He couldn't get in the game at all, and that's to do with the service. One thing I'd give him is, he's always back for a set piece at the back. He's another big bod at the back, and seemed to be handling a couple of their lads on their set pieces. So I've given him a 5, which is probably a bit generous, but that's because it wasn't really his fault that he didn't get in the game.
Yeah, I'm keen to round off soon, so I'll grab the subs and see what you think of that. Scowen, I do think, although he had one sort of half chance to score, Sunderland's creative attacking wide midfielder, as the manager alluded to in his press conference this week. Apparently he's competition for Chris Maguire. Not sure about that. Yeah, I think the fact he came onto the pitch actually helped us put up the tempo, because he likes to get rid of the ball quickly, but he doesn't go missing. He'll pass the ball off and then he wants it back straight away. But he reminds us a little bit of George Honeyman in that sense, and Honeyman always used to do that. He would go ratting around for the ball, looking for it, and he would just give it away again, and then he would ask for it back 2 seconds later, and that's what I like about Scowen. He's quite energetic. So yeah, 6 or a 7 actually. I think maybe for the fact that he came on at a time when we needed some improvement, and we definitely improved. So yeah, maybe a 6.5. I'll go with that. Charlie Wyke got involved in the second goal, actually. I think he linked up with Gooch in the build up to the second. Other than that, didn't do a lot, but I guess you could say job done. He's a target man, got involved in a goal. So another 7 maybe. Gooch, well, great goal, as we've touched on. Probably gave himself a good shout for starting next week. Done everything you expect of a substitute with pace and skill, really. So I'm going to even give him an 8. I think just because the goal was just such a good goal. I can't remember many good Sunderland goals in the last year or so. That was definitely one of them. So yeah, any disagreements on that, lads? I don't know if you have anything to add on those 3 players, but yeah, they all played their part, didn't they?
Yeah, not much to disagree with, really. I think I marked Wyke at a 6. Just he wasn't really, involved that much. He did a couple of good things, but yeah, I'd go with the 8 for Gooch, just because of the class of that finish. Like you said, we've been a bit starved of a bit of quality, and he definitely provided it.
I'm going to chuck this one in this week. We're going to rate the manager, because we don't normally do that on the Player Ratings pod. Phil Parkinson, then. Before the game, got absolute pelters. Everybody wanted him dead on social media. End of the game, 4 points from 2 games. That's 2 points a game. Decent. Just beat a promotion rival away from home. Kept a clean sheet. Ooh, how much credit does he have, really? I'll go with you, Ant. I'm going to throw you under the bus and make you make this. Come on, then. What do you reckon? Phil Parkinson out of 10 today?
Probably 7, I would say. Made his subs for once, made his subs at the right time. Obviously, I've put something on Twitter saying I think Josh Scowen may have made love to Phil Parkinson's wife. That's why he's not starting. So, but it's nice to. I tell you what it is, and I said this when we played Bristol Rovers last season when we won 3. It's nice to be proved wrong. It's nice when you're looking at the team, you think we're gonna get beat here, and it's nice to actually be happy about being wrong about our manager, really, because I get pelters, and we've wrote a couple of pieces this week, and Tom Albrighton's gone all in on him, and to be honest, I agree with what Tom Albrighton was saying, but it's nice to look, we've gone away to a team who we think are going to be challenging us away from home. In the playoffs, we've gone away from home, kept a clean sheet, won comfortably. You look at the season in a whole, we haven't lost a game. We've lost one on penalties, but we drew. So. Yeah, it's not been a bad start, really, is it? We've got a massive game next week where, again, we'll have to improve. But, yeah, I'd say probably a 7 for him.
Man the match, Rich. I'll let you pick this one.
Man the match. Oh, I get that. Well, I mean, I think we've all mentioned him in terms of throughout the 90 minutes. I think Bailey Wright deserves the man of the match, and particularly for that one block tackle, when really, if they came back into the game then, it would have been a very different, last half hour. So I'm going to give it to Bailey Wright.
Sweet. I don't think you'll find any. There's a lot of head nodding going on here from me and Ant. So yeah. Well, thanks lads. Thanks for joining us. Like I say, we're all happy now. We've got a win to talk about for the rest of the week. It's nice, isn't it?
It is.
Thanks everyone for listening. Please drop back in. We're going to be talking this week to Dennis Chewett, obviously 1973 Cup winning hero. He's joining the podcast at some point this week, so keep an eye out for that. And also Connor will be back with the review show this weekend. Make sure you subscribe on iTunes, Acast, Spotify, YouTube, wherever you get your podcasts, and we will catch you all down the road.